All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're strapping in for a really thrilling deep dive into what is essentially a modern AI cyber heist. We're unpacking a fully end-to-end attack simulation blueprint, and this one is designed specifically for an AI control plane kernel stack. Forget your standard run-of-the-mill data breaches. We're looking at what happens when an attacker tries to hijack an autonomous agent's actual reasoning capabilities. And more importantly, we're going to see exactly how a modern defense architecture traps that attacker in literal milliseconds.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Imagine a digital bank robbery scenario. But in this case, the weapon isn't some brute force hacking tool or a stolen password. No, the weapon here is language. What actually happens when a malicious prompt sneaks into your system and tries to turn your own highly capable AI agents against you? Think about it. If an agent is trusted to run tools, query your databases, and access your service meshes, a successful prompt injection could effectively hand the keys to your entire kingdom straight over to an intruder.
To really grasp the stakes here, we've got to look at the massive contrast in outcomes. Consider a pre-defense weak system. In that scenario, the agent happily accepts an instruction override. It treats the malicious prompt as a completely legitimate task, and it just marches right ahead to execute a tool chain that compromises the whole system. Just total failure. But then, look at the ACPK secure system. Here, the prompt is instantly flagged by an LLM gateway classifier. The context injection is detected right away, and execution is completely blocked at the policy kernel. Boom, the heist is over before it even begins.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it gives us our exact roadmap. We're going to trace the intruder's path step by step. We start with the prompt injection, move on to tool abuse via the MCP, witness a desperate policy bypass attempt, see the SOC detection kick in, and finally, watch the automated containment lock everything down.
So, let's start from the very beginning. Phase 1, the break-in. This is where the attacker very carefully crafts a malicious input. They're trying to silently sneak past that initial perimeter and just whisper directly into the ear of our AI agent. And their motives here are incredibly precise. They aren't trying to just crash the server. They are attempting to inject a prompt payload specifically designed to manipulate the agent's reasoning. Ultimately, they want to trick the agent into triggering an unauthorized tool execution. Essentially, they're commanding the system's own hands to gather up sensitive data, package it up, and exfiltrate it right out the back door.
But to pull this whole thing off, the attacker has to interact with the MCP. That's the Model Context Protocol. Think of the MCP gateway as a highly secure bank teller's desk. The AI agent acts like a customer stepping up to the desk to request a transaction, like, say, running a tool or accessing a database. The MCP is this incredibly strict sandboxed execution environment. It's where every single request gets scrutinized before anything is allowed to actually happen. So picture this. The compromised agent steps up to the MCP gateway and asks to run an unauthorized tool to steal data. What does the gateway do? Well, it evaluates the policy and just flatly denies the request. It blocks the execution entirely. Or maybe it traps it in a sandbox and just hands back a completely empty response. But, and this is key, it doesn't just stop there. The MCP acts exactly like a teller hitting a silent alarm. It instantly emits a policy violation event straight over to the SOC pipeline via Kafka. It's radioing dispatch that an intruder is in the building.
And that brings us to phase 2, tripping alarms. At this point, the attacker's quiet infiltration has officially failed. By trying to execute that unauthorized tool, they've stumbled straight through the system's metaphorical laser grid, and the alarms are absolutely blaring. Inside the SOC detection engine, stream processing logic is churning in real time. Picture a security camera control room where the software is piecing together the intruder's exact movements. It isn't just looking at one isolated event, right? It's correlating 3 distinct things: the initial signature of the prompt injection, that sensitive tool request made by the agent, and the policy denial event from the MCP. By tying those 3 threads together, the SOC builds a complete attack graph. The threat is fully verified. The threat is known, which launches us into phase 3, total lockdown. So the crucial point is understanding exactly how the system paralyzes the compromised agent. It all relies on the SPIFFE SFID. This is the secure identity layer mechanism that authenticates the agent within the service mesh. If you think of the agent as an employee, the SPIFFE SFID is basically their VIP keycard that opens every door in the building. To stop the attack, the system doesn't just politely ask the agent to stop, it instantly deactivates that VIP keycard.
Let's move to and see how this builds across a split-second timeline. It's crazy fast. At 0.01 seconds, the SOC finishes building the attack graph. At 0.05 seconds, the incident orchestrator fires off the response policy.
By 0.10 seconds, that SPIFFE identity is completely revoked. At 0.15 seconds, all mTLS connections drop, meaning the network mesh forcibly ejects the agent. And at exactly 0.20 seconds, the MCP gateway shuts down access for that agent. In literally a fraction of a second, the kill switch is pulled across both the identity and network layers.
The effect of this automated containment is, well, it's beautifully aggressive. It creates a complete digital straitjacket. The compromised agent is left completely paralyzed. It is entirely unable to call tools, unable to access the model router, unable to write to its own memory, and entirely unable to communicate within the service mesh. The attacker's payload is just trapped in an isolated void. No way out. Now, even though the threat is contained, the system's job isn't quite done yet. It immediately generates a permanent SIEM alert output and captures a really comprehensive forensic snapshot. This is stored in a mutable S3 warm mode, which means it can be read, but it can never be altered or deleted. The system archives the full prompt history, the tool invocation attempts, the policy decisions, the agent's memory state right before the incident, and the complete execution trace graph. It's basically a perfect, untouched chalk outline of the attempted heist.
Let's zoom out a bit now and look at the overall layered defense strategy. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how that defense in depth works in practice. Every single attack stage maps perfectly to a specific, isolated defense layer. If prompt injection somehow gets past the LLM gateway classifier, the resulting tool misuse is immediately caught by the MCP policy engine. If they attempt unauthorized access, the SPIFFE identity and mesh shut them down. Execution abuse, trapped by sandbox isolation, and the whole shebang is correlated system-wide by the SOC engine and contained by the incident orchestrator. It's a gauntlet.
So, what we've seen today really boils down to 4 key security properties. First, there is absolutely no single point of failure here. An attack must successfully bypass 5 different overlapping filters. Second, execution is non-trust-based. It really doesn't matter if the prompt looks valid, it still can't bypass strict tool restrictions. Third, the system guarantees full traceability. Every microsecond of the event is logged, correlated, and totally replayable. And fourth, it provides instant containment. We're talking a simultaneous kill switch across the identity, network, execution, and tool layers. So after seeing an automated orchestrator shut down a complex attack in under a quarter of a second, we really have to ask, what is the next frontier? I mean, if your control plane is already this smart, are you ready to unleash an LLM-based SOC analyst? Imagine integrating predictive compromise scoring systems or running this entire blueprint through a live Docker-composed simulator just to red team your own agents. The defensive architecture is here. It's real. The only question left is how far you want to push it. Keep learning, keep building securely, and we'll see you in the next explainer.